Welcome to a brief guided tour of the Bennis House of Punxsutawney Area Historical and Genealogical Society. Shirley Sharp is our docent today as we walk through the recently restaged home.
The cathedral, and I can't.
Where did this one come from?
Oh, these are the doors.
Some extra doors for the front.
And this Salvatore Vitello made that.
Sicilian
And
Cathedral.
he made them for the Italians in the area who would then put candles in them and have them as their decorations.
Neat. Yeah, there's space behind there for safely putting in candles. We have some pieces from the synagogue that was here in town too.
And this is our latest acquisition over here, which are the tablets from the synagogue.
Oh my.
The
For family.
when you look down there, you can find Sam White, and you can find Brody's.
Oh, yeah. Some of these are rather late numbers. Some of these are 1980s.
Mm-hmm. That's because they decommissioned the synagogue here about the time the Historical Society was open, and all of these came to us from them. And then the tablets went to Du Bois because that's where the congregation was going to worship. But then that synagogue has been decommissioned, and they were going to send these to Johnstown, and the Petes said no. And they came to us and said, would you
watch over them? Oh, nice.
They belong here, they felt.
Yeah. Was it this chair from somewhere special too?
It is from a church. Let me see if it has it on the tag here. No, of course it only has the number. And then there's a stained glass window from the Jewish synagogue. I don't know if you can get a good picture
Oh
of
yeah,
that.
it's doing okay. Yeah, the menorah. Nice.
And then these are the menorah from the synagogue. People said, I didn't know if Jewish people were here. I said, it was.
Well, a pretty big congregation.
Yep.
Yeah. Very nice.
Because when we got it, the Bennis's daughter told us that it was designed by a famous New York architect. Well, the famous New York architect at the time this was built was Sanford White.
Okay.
And Sanford White was infamous more than, he was a good architect, but he liked the ladies, and he got in trouble and somebody shot him and killed him.
Oh no! Oh my God.
And so my friend Marilyn and I searched, and Marilyn called the Sanford Heritage Group. They had nothing from Punxsutawney.
Okay.
But I ran into Leonie W. Robinson.
Okay.
And Leonie W. Robinson had two brothers who were connected to Punxsutawney. he had Lucius Waterman
Okay.
and Edward Watterson
Mm-hmm.
Robinson. Now, Lucius was the superintendent of the R&P Coal and Iron Company. Edwin
Okay.
was an engineer with them and lived across the street in the house and married Judge Mitchell's daughter.
Aha.
So he had a reason to come to Punxsutawney.
Yeah.
But I could not find anything which told about, his being an architect here in town. But I did find where he had somewhere a biography of him said he designed in a Swiss style open housing concept. And then when we were setting up this exhibit,
mm-hmm.
I saw that Leonie Robinson's architectural collection was now filed at the university, Historical Society University with Yale. So it said, if for more information, call. And I said, well, I'm going to call. And I called and they said, yes, he did design places in Punxsutawney and Indiana.
Oh,
and you know
okay.
what he designed? He designed the Adrian Hospital.
Oh.
And this is a sample of the blueprint for the Adrian Hospital. He also designed the Indiana Hospital, and he designed this building, which is behind County Market, which served as the B&O
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Office. It was the BRP and then the B&O. So here's this. And because Mr. McKibben, who was the person who had the house was built for,
Mm-hmm.
worked under Adrian Island, who was chairman of the board of the R&P Coal and Iron Company. I think that the Iron Company buildings were designed by him also.
That would make a lot of sense.
So, So here's the Bennis House, the Adrian Hospital, and I put the Iron Company there. And I think they were all done by Leonie. Now, Leonie was famous because, where is he from? Connecticut, as well as projects in New York City.
Okay. So
I think that's the architect that
this building. Yeah. That is, yeah, you can tell that somebody really did design this.
Right. And what they used were heavy draperies to keep the heat
from one room to another.
Yeah.
But how airy for the summertime.
Oh, yeah. And I didn't point out to you, but if you check, every room has windows on two sides.
Oh.
Even that middle room has windows on three sides.
A step out there.
Mm-hmm.
So that you can get a good breeze.
So the architecture.
Yeah, we don't give the Victorians credit for enough.
Hmm?
We don't give the Victorians credit for enough of what they were doing.
Yeah, and if you come this way, I can show you some of the historic things in here. Now, the first family here was the Jenks family, and this is one of their sons who was a judge, and this is his daughter's dress. So this would have been the grandchildren of John and Mary D. Jenks. And just, I keep telling people, these were not backwoods families, because in early life she demonstrated musical talent. She was sent to study in Leipzig, Germany, studied music and languages for 2 years, returned to Pennsylvania. She was a teacher at the Blairsville Ladies Cemetery and the Young Ladies Allegheny City College. Okay, so
yeah,
and that dress over there, just, I tried to blend, the early settlers here and the coal era.
Yeah.
And the young lady, Teresa Olivia, came here to get married. She was, I think, a mail order bride sent for.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
She came and she married, I think, a cousin because his last name was Olivia. Also, she brought her wedding dress from Italy.
Oh.
And dresses back then, see, that's sort of like what Laura had on over there with the overdress over the underdress,
Okay,
except that
yeah.
underdress has a little more style to it. But this also, dresses were made in two pieces.
Yeah, I just heard that it was definitely so you could adjust them.
You can adjust them, and but she brought her dress over and was made in Italy and brought over. She was married here.
Wow.
Over here, in our little treasures cabinet, we have Mary Barclay Jenks's Bible, printed in 1813. And if you look back, there's a copy of the pages that have her family's births on it.
Very neat.
Now, 1822, this is a sampler. It's hard to see, but it was created by Margaret Mitchell, who married John St. Clair. And John St. Clair was one of our Brookville officials, came back and operated a hotel here, and he had a daughter whose name was Martha Joe,
Mm-hmm.
and she married William Slaisman Campbell. But her granddaughter wrote the book Red Silk Panel. That's about her life as a teenager growing up here in the 1850s. Right over there, this little thing, that is the pocketbook of Nathaniel Tyndall, who was one of the first settlers, came in 1818, and he conducted the first tax assessment in 1826 of Young Township, and a copy of it is in that book. That was where he carried his important papers. And those down there are sample, a student made those as examples of clothing in Philadelphia about the time that they were settling here. But this is a piece de resistance. Have you seen this before?
These
that?
bits of hair.
See that little book?
Uh-huh.
These are pages in that little book. And those are hair. And it's a memory book for a young lady who was getting married. She lived over in North Mahoning Township in Indiana County, and she was going to move over to Perry Township in Jefferson County. And it was so far away that she wouldn't get to visit her family very often. So this was her memory book.
So they each made a little bit of kind of hair art for her.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
The things you can see around here.
Yeah.
And throughout the house, we have the Bennises. Like this is Dorothy Cooney, and Dorothy Bennis Cooney and her husband. She's the one that donated
The house itself.
the house, and she's out there too. This is not a Bennis. This clock was donated by Tom Curry's family, and that's Tom's mother.
Oh, okay.
Or grandmother, I'm not sure which. But throughout the house, we have Bennis pictures. Like this is Leo Bennis, who died young, and this is Thomas Bennis, who was of the Bennis Hotels. Now, we got the organ from the Christman, so these are Christman family photos.
Oh, okay.
So there's a reason for...
Yeah.
And this, in the newsletter, it talks about, we have the Bennises here hosting. This would be Elsie Bennis, and that's her picture up there. And her second husband was a commander in the Navy, and we don't have all the Navy regalia, but this is a Navy uniform.
Nice.
It was the only uniform we could find that would fit this guy.
Oh,
it was
this
the only
size
suit we had.
mannequin.
And then I said, I hope that goes with the story, and it did.
It did. Oh, that's great. What a pretty clock, too.
And that clock was always on that mantelpiece.
Oh, neat.
Look, isn't this spacious?
It is. Yeah, I mean, to have that's a second organ, and then this is a player piano. To have and then a phonograph. These are fascinating.
Yeah.
And here's a story from my mother. Her grandmother would put a Christmas tree on top of this, and then the ornaments would sort of fly out from it.
Yeah. Did you look at this case out here?
Oh, let's see there too.
I talked about Mary Barclay, David Barclay's daughter who married John Jenks. That was the trunk she carried her clothing to college. That's the other thing. She was a college graduate.
Oh, wow.
That's where she met John Jenks and they got married.
Yep.
And then
long rifles.
these guns are down here because Charles Woods came here to learn medicine from John W. Jenks in the 1830s. But in 1849, he went out for the gold rush, took these rifles with him, these two rifles and his dog. He came back, brought the rifles. The dog didn't make it. But this is a picture of the original North Homestead. They came here in 1818 also.
So this is one of the first
One of the early
white
settlers.
homes.
And the name's still here.
The North. Oh, North being a family name, not location.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this furniture, again, trying to blend the different cultures that were here. Made in 1911 by a gentleman who came over and was working in the coal mines and then down at the iron works and saving money to bring his family over. And while he was doing it, he was creating furniture back before you had electric saws and things. He made this, that, chairs.
Very nice.
The table with the little...
Yeah, the little knobs on the bottom. And the kind of in the craftsman style too. Yeah. Very neat.
And I don't know if you want to get a picture of the 1911. And the Bennises had the Bennis House Hotel, and these are napkin rings from the Bennis House Hotel. I mean, there's so much to see, and I didn't want this place to be crowded like it was before.
Yeah. The elegance of some of this stuff. The elegance. You know, it's... And here's some crystal wire. Yeah.
And that's Susie Q. Bennis there. That's the lady of the house when the Bennises moved in 1918.
Place for the babies eating. That's one big clock. That's one big clock.
It's grandfather's clock.
Yeah.
Grandfather's clock.
Yeah.
And out here's some artifacts from the town. The early cash registers and the earliest telephone
Phone
switchboard.
exchange. There was a reason women did that work. The men would have destroyed it. Then we get to the 1950s updates that were done to the home after.
Yeah. This is probably the 1940s.
Yeah. Just sort of the... My mother has these same cabinets at her house.